It's just going. There we go. We're live. You're outdoors.
I'm outside.
I'm
Look,
here.
I got the smoker going. I got a fire going. I got a coffee
Yeah,
going.
you've got all kinds of
Life
stuff.
is
I got a
good.
glass of water somewhere. Don't know
A glass of
where.
water.
Yeah,
That's pretty
that's
okay.
about as wild as I get. Because at 2 o'clock,
Um,
I'm still in the shop, right? I can't be. I can't be. I'll get in
true,
trouble.
true.
I'll get in trouble. The boss will yell at me.
Oh, he's the
You
worst.
know.
Hey, what's going on today? What are we doing here?
Well, today it's well, we got some people joining on Instagram. I'm just going to tell them because I don't have my handy sign. But if you want to join us on YouTube, knifewear.com/YouTube, you'll see the live one right at the top. You'll get the other half of the conversation where Kevin is chatting with us as well. So everyone who's joining on Instagram, welcome to this week's Japanese Knife 101. But if you head over to YouTube, it's quite a bit better. You'll be able to see the other half of the conversation, not just
I
a.
can. I think I can turn on the Instagram one too.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, Kevin will join us on Instagram too then. So
I should be able to
we
do
kind
that.
of we've gotten back into the swing of things. We're starting to do our Japanese Knife 101. Well, even a little more frequently than before. It's our weekly kind of, touch base, ask me anything. Someone's yelling at us to restock Onryu. Well, you give Onryu a call and tell him to work faster. You see how that goes, because you might have better luck. Might have better luck than us. I don't know. So
I'll get
I
straight
don't
on
know if
top.
that's. I
I
don't know if that's
actually
the
I want
right.
to address. Let's talk about that for a second, Chris. I get some emails sometimes that people are
Yeah.
demanding that I do my job properly. Because we're out of stock a lot of times for things.
Yeah.
It's not that we're doing our job poorly. I just want to say that we deal with artisans
Yeah.
that have a temperament, a specific temperament, and
Yeah.
uh, and that's that, right?
Well,
Sometimes you
and
just they just can only make as many as they can make,
yeah.
right? And they're like you and I. They sometimes want to have holidays and stuff, and
Yeah.
sometimes they just want to sleep in. I guess I don't know, but they're not machines, right?
No,
They
no,
can't
they
just
are
let the
humans.
machine run longer. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do order lots of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I remember one of the
Always
first things,
arrive.
like I remember from in Springhammer, you said it once. You said placing an order in Japan is like you take a little note and you roll it up and you stick it in a bottle and you huck it into the ocean and maybe you'll get what you asked for.
And you often do, right? You
Yeah.
often do. We're doing the best. They're doing the best. Everybody's getting by. It's one of these funny things. There's also a pandemic going on.
That's true. That's something else that's going on. Well, there we go. Now we
And
got you on
and
Instagram.
if you'll look, I'm not rocking my typical Jason Kenny mug. I've got a dude mug today. See it all?
Oh, that's fun. I've actually
A dude.
got, so we had a Christmas, we can,
You buy it.
okay, so the purpose of today, in case, which we never did get to, the purpose is if you have any questions about anything knife related, kitchen related, anything along that point, maintenance, which knife, which job, this is Knifewear's kind of weekly Ask Me Anything. All right.
Yeah.
And a lot of it ends up being Kevin and I kind of shooting the shit back and forth.
Talking about really important things with
Yeah.
real big intelligence and humor.
Yeah. So
Or
we sometimes
boring
wander.
idiots.
Yeah. We sometimes wander, but there's enough people. I see the same names showing up often enough that we can't be that bad. So
They just feel
there's a
sad
handful.
for us. Just a
Yeah.
mercy date.
Well, and that's fine. I'll take them. I will take the mercy dates. So, but if you have any questions, by all means, just shoot them into the comments. Kevin and I are both keeping an eye on there. I saw Nathan creeping around in there too. So, we'll give you the best advice we can. I'm currently standing in the back of Knifewear Ottawa, where we keep our Kent of Inglewood shop. And I would show you the rest of it, except it's garbage day today. So there's a big pile of bags to my right that I just don't want you to see. So, but we've got a couple of things up our sleeve today. a pal. Yeah, Kevin's got some. I've got some too. Here. Yeah. So a new friend of the stores, a fella named Rakesh. I guess he
Yeah.
works for Traeger.
He's the VP for Traeger.
VP for Traeger. Sent us
VP
a
of
couple.
sales maybe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he sent us a couple of grills to play around with. So
Yeah.
Kevin and I both have them fired up. Mine's on a box behind the store, which I'm now realizing the wooden box that I've put the smoker on top of. Maybe it's a fire hazard. I don't know, but I'm not too far from it. I can kick snow on it if I had to. It's just back there. I mean, Kevin's got his set up on his porch at home, his patio. I don't know what you call it out in Alberta. I call it a deck myself. Out on the deck.
I'm going to call it a deck as well.
Yeah. So
We could be friends.
oh, he is the GM of Traeger in Canada, says the Nathan.
And Don Penny obviously knows Rakesh because Don Penny, famous for his award-winning brisket that he
Oh yeah, they're
smokes.
buds. I think they're actually buds. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I think
can
so. I
understand
think that's
it.
how
They both seem
Rakesh.
like, listen, they both seem like reasonable dudes. I think they can be
Yeah.
friends.
I think so. Oh, Carl's got a
Although
good
Don's
question.
got a way bigger beard.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and Chris Eltervoog said that they had to see if I had actually cut my hair. And no, that was an old photo that Nathan used. So it's, I don't know. There's actually a little bit of a bet going on here in the Ottawa store between Alex and myself. The first one to cut their hair is the loser. And I'm not going to let that kid win. So, but we had, Kevin, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, cool.
Mike just sending me text, so I thought I'd reply.
Oh, okay. So Carl is asking the favorite method for seasoning a carbon pan. That's over on Facebook. I just kind of go for the normal. Kevin's raising his hand. What do you
I
got
got here. Well, I've got a selection of things here.
Okay.
I got a carbon pan.
Yeah.
I got a dirty cast iron pan here.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I do? Cook bacon in them.
Yeah.
If they start sticking or something greasy, and if they don't stick, I don't bother.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
use this
usually pretty.
brush. I use this brush here, this coconut husk brush that we sell, to scrub them out. And that's it. Like, I cooked with this one earlier, and they're still goo in it because I haven't been too quick to clean them out. I just kind of let the oil cook in and sit on them.
Yeah, I find one thing that I always say is like a carbon steel pan that is used frequently actually requires very little maintenance. Like if you use it, like because
I use mine daily.
Yeah, mine too. So I've got a Finex skillet, and I've got one of the West Japan tool pans, and they just sit on my stove. Like I never even bother putting them away. And I would say in the beginning, Carl. Yeah, well, exactly. I would say in the beginning, I just cook with a little extra fat, and I just cook fatty stuff. If you wanted to get a little more in depth, and you can't, that doesn't work with every pan. You know, I just go for the oven at 400, rub some oil in, fire it in the oven, let it cool down, do it again. Like, I don't really. I don't get super picky about it. Although I'm going to grab a pan here. I do really like, have you tried one of these Prince Koigo pans, Kevin? Have you tried one of those?
I have. Well, you know what? You know how we get new items at the shops, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
We get one, and we try them. We didn't send one to you guys.
No.
Sorry.
It's fine. But I've been wanting. Now we're sold out here in the moment. These guys make the tamagoyaki pan as well, like the square or rectangular omelet pan, which a lot of people are always asking about. But they make a deep fry. They call it a deep frying pan, but it's almost more like a flat bottom wok. Because I have a glass stove at home, which I don't love, but it's what came with the house. So I've been looking for something like that. Now these guys, you can't season them by popping them in the oven because they've got a wooden handle here. you could use a hex key and get the handle off if you wanted. But what they recommend, and apparently people who've tried it have had some really good results, is you rub it with oil and then heat it up incrementally on your stovetop. So like put it up to low, put it up to medium, whatever, and do that a couple of times. I guess it's the same as putting it into the oven, but I've heard good results. I haven't tried it myself though. So hopefully that helps.
Chris, let's talk about this fish because I want to get this fish on smoking because I've never smoked fish. I've only used a smoker. Well, no, that's not true. You know what? I've made smokers, Chris. I've made them out of cardboard boxes.
Yeah.
I've made an offset smoker with a cardboard box more than a couple times, and that's kind of fun until the box collapses. Mm-hmm. I've also used one of those big Chief smokers, which are probably not called that anymore, but it's
I know the ones. Yeah, I know those.
Aluminum box with some shelves in it and throw a little smoke at the bottom, right?
I've lit many of those on fire.
You know a lot about this thing. So I've got a piece of salmon here, a piece of sockeye that I rubbed salt and sugar on this morning frantically. Mm-hmm. And it's probably cured.
Yeah, I did something similar. I bought
Maybe you should tell me what to do because I kind of want to clean this off and dry it.
Okay, yeah. So what I would do there, Kevin, with kind of the stage that you're at, is give it a quick rinse under some cold water and pat it dry with some paper towel. Now, I went a little, well, the flavors aren't necessarily all that classic, but I took more of a, I guess, culinary school approach to the fish. Like I cured mine for, I don't know, 6 hours yesterday. I made, it was equal parts white sugar and kosher salt. I grated a couple cloves of garlic. There's the zest of a lemon, some thyme, and I minced up a jalapeno and made like this paste out of all the salt. And I smeared it all over the flesh side of the fish. You can still see some of it stuck to it. And then I let that sit for about 6 hours. And then I guess, so that would have been around, I don't know, 10 or 11 last night. Scraped all the salt off and gave it a rinse like what Kevin's doing, and then let it sit uncovered in the fridge until the morning.
Yeah, so it gets a little sticky, right?
Yeah, so the fancy foodie term for that is called a pellicle. If anyone wanted to, if you're watching Jeopardy or something, and you need to know.
Thought it was seal.
I've always called it a pellicle.
Oh, well, you know more about this than me, man.
But what happens is because like the salt and the sugar pull moisture out of the fish and create like this layer, right? Because it doesn't go the whole way through, otherwise it'd be super, super hard. But that sticky layer gives the smoke something to grab onto. So by letting it get a little, like it's not like, the stuff like Kevin's didn't have the time to dry. It's just not going to be as smoky. The smoke won't stick to it quite the same.
Oh, well, it will.
Yeah. So Kevin will probably throw it.
It's on TV, so I'm just going to taste it and go, oh, it's the smokiest smokerson I've ever smoked.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The Voog says stick it over the Conroe. And Charlie says in pellicule.
Sure.
I would presume that's how you say it in French. I barely manage English most days. So, but it's the same idea as far as I know. Pellicule. Now I'm just saying it, trying to say it in French, and I just Okay, yeah, he says I did it right. But Charlie got a Fuji Higo for Christmas and loves it. That's because they're awesome. I bet you Kevin has one in his pocket right now.
I got one in my pocket. You know what? Yeah. Should we get the fish on? Because I got a Fuji Higo in my pocket with the leather, but I can show you this later because I also have something to show you, Chris. I got something weird.
Oh, I got
mail.
Oh, that's fun.
I got mail from Hawaii.
Oh,
and it's not my MLA coming back after the holidays.
Oh, snap. All right, well here. So I'm gonna walk everybody out. So here I got my fish.
Okay, we're going out.
These beard brushes.
Everybody's going for a tour with me?
Yeah. Same here. So here, this is the smoker. What do they call this? The Traeger Ranger.
It's a Traeger Ranger, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, at first
And
I thought
it ranges.
my first impression was that it was going to be too small to be useful. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's, I've cooked on it now. I cooked some sausages for Alex and I for lunch today, and it did, and it was great. Like, I think if you had a smaller, smaller space, or you're just like hanging out behind your store, like what we are.
I haven't planned this out very well, Chris, with angles out here. I'm just going to spend the rest of the night out here.
Okay. Well,
I'm going back in the house now to get my fish.
Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this pointing this at the grill. If I drop this computer, guys, it's bad news. So it's pretty simple.
The computer.
No, I know. This is Kevin's computer. I just get to use it. So it doesn't have a ton of space over here, but you'll see, like, I got room for both of these fish fillets. Like, they'll just park right on there, I've got it set at 250. It seems to do a pretty good job of keeping the heat because it's not a very big chamber, and it's got the same size fire pot as any other pellet smoker I've ever used. So that's about it. Like, I'm going to check on it periodically while we're chatting, but I just put mine right on, like, on a little grate, because I didn't want to mess around with the, fussing about with the grill.
The fussy stuff?
Yeah, I just don't want to have to scrape anything up.
I think I've set mine to 200.
Okay.
But it hasn't seemed to hit there. It's still only at 130. Doesn't seem to want to get to 200.
Yeah, but I'm a little further
Maybe
ahead.
I'll turn it up.
Yeah, give it a little blast. See what happens. But they're pretty easy. Like, it's got like an electric, it's got an electric thermostat in it. It seems somewhat accurate. I haven't really tried. It has there's like an internal temp probe that you can use, and that I haven't really messed with that. Like, I've really cooked 4 sausages and put that fish on it just now. But
now,
it seems like a good fish.
Oh, there's a grill in here. There's a griddle. Should I put it on the griddle? Or should I put it on the grate?
I'd put it on the grate. So normally I would put the fish with the kind of the thicker end closest to the fire. Like, my smoker at home is an offset smoker, so there is a huge difference between one side to the other. Whereas this one, the wood pellets go right into the middle. So it's kind of like it's a little more even throughout it. So
there.
Yeah, but they seem
I have a fish.
Like, this would be great. Like, the lady who owns the shoe store next door to us, she lives in an apartment upstairs, and she was asking me about it as we were getting things started today. And it was, she's like, "Oh, would it be good for my balcony?" And I was like, "Well, probably. I don't know if the landlord will let you have a barbecue up there. I'm always waiting for them to tell me to stop trying to burn down the neighborhood with my back alley cornrows and such."
I don't think you should stop burning down the neighborhood at all. I like how you try to burn down the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's fun, But the boob
so much
over
fun.
on
Talking Heads wrote a song about it.
Burning down the glebe.
Burning down the glebe.
It is pellet powered, Chris. Yeah, it's got like it's. I think that's like Traeger, and if there's someone who knows better than me, I'm pretty sure that's Traeger's game, right? Is all the it's all about the pellets with those guys. So
I think so.
We'll see.
So I'm just throwing some logs on my fire. I got my fire going too, Chris.
Oh, nice. You got all kinds of stuff on the go.
I got fire on the go. I've been sanding the tops of these logs. So my buddy Jeremy, who was the photographer for the book I did, and Jeremy is building a log cabin or learning how. So he's out chopping down trees and milling wood and stuff. So he brought me these logs, these stumps to sit on, and I thought I'll just sand the tops of them. So I sanded them, and I've been putting the Knifewear board wax on them.
Oh, okay.
And it's made really pleasant little stumps to sit on.
Oh, cool.
That's kind of my project lately. Isn't that weird, huh? But there you go.
Well, I guess
one must do fun things.
Well, you got to when when you're stuck at home, right? So we've got.
Well, I am stuck at home. I can't leave my house. I'm in quarantine. You know that, Chris?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I got.
I was the close contact. I mean, I was close to somebody for 15 minutes that had COVID. So now I'm stuck in my house until Friday. So I've been stuck in here since the 26th.
Jesus.
I haven't left my house.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy. Crazy. If I was an MLA in Calgary, if I was an MLA in Alberta, I could just go to Hawaii.
You can do whatever you like.
Doesn't really matter. That's what they do.
Yeah, here in Ontario as well, I believe. So I'm just gonna, Kevin, apparently we've gotten something from, I don't know, someone in Hawaii. I have a feeling as to who it might be, but Kevin hasn't opened it yet, so we don't know what's in there. But don't be shy with your questions. We've had a couple so far, a couple of good ones, but don't be shy. I'm keeping an eye on them. So if you do have any questions, you're curious about a knife, or maybe your knife is doing something funny, or you need a hand, don't hesitate. We will be, that's why we're here, is to help you out with that. So.
Listen, Chris is asking, is it double-walled machine? No, I don't think so. It's single-walled. So I don't think it's going to keep the heat quite as well as that.
Yeah.
And he says, what's the temperature like in Calgary? I don't know. It's about, I don't know, might be 5 out here. It's not that cold. I'm in the shade, so it's colder. In Calgary, if you're in the sun, we have 9 degrees of solar warming. I was telling Chris this. So in Calgary, if you're in the sun and it's 5 degrees outside, it feels like 14 in the sun. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's awesome. I like it. I think you guys are weird.
I don't like that you get it and I don't, you know. Nathan's asking if you've cooked anything else on the Traeger yet.
Yeah, I burnt some fish on it recently.
Yeah.
And that was on Christmas Day. No, it was New Year's Eve. I burnt some fish on it. And what else did I do? I did something else. Oh, I did pork chops. They were great. I didn't know what to do. I just turned the thing on and turned it up to like 300, I think, and threw some pork chops that I've been seasoning on there, and they were fantastic. The trick, though, is I kind of know how to cook, so I know when to pull it off the grill.
That's the big thing, right? Steve's got a good question about knife handles. When the knock-off method doesn't work to remove a handle, what do you do? Now, I presume when you say like the knock, yeah, I think we should. And then
I'll talk about the knockoff. I don't have a knife handy. But what I'll do is I get a piece of like flooring, like I get a nice long piece of flooring, wood flooring, and I hold, so I've got the handle here, right? The handle's here.
I'll grab a knife. I can show this.
Yeah, you can show us. Anyway, I hold it and I just bash the snot, like basically putting the piece of wood on the handle and then bash the snot out of the wood to try to knock the handle off. And if that doesn't work, I'll soak the handle for a bit and try again. If that doesn't work, I'll literally put the handle on an anvil and just break it off, smash with a hammer to get it off.
Yeah, so Kevin means like kind of, this is a strop, but same idea, get a board and nestle it in. Nestle it in like that, and then you just whack it on this end. So sometimes, like if I'm doing it, you wrap it with a towel or something just to make sure you're being safe, but hold it from the spine like that.
Oh, you're smart. I've never been safe.
Bang it from that end.
Just whack it.
Don't grab your staff's favorite strop when you do it, because you might bust up the handle. But then smash it from there, and then boom, it'll fire off. If it's not going as easily as you were hoping, there's some things you can do ahead of time. Like sometimes I'll put the knife in a glass of hot water like that. Yeah. And sometimes that'll help soften things up. But whenever we replace a handle on a knife, my kind of little caveat, Steve, is I'll try to save the old one. But if you're asking me to do this, you're okay with the fact that the old handle might not make it.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes it's, it's nice to have like if you had a handle that you don't love, well, it's okay to just have one knocking around in your kit just in case. Like in case. The number of people that I've had to replace handles because a dog chewed on a knife handle is a lot higher.
Why is that so common?
I don't know. but it's happened. Like I've done it to at least 5. Like in the 5.5 years I've worked here, I've done it to 5 or 6 knives that a dog chewed the handle.
I find that weird.
It is
But it's
because I've
a
never.
common thing. It happens, you know.
Because my dog has never chewed on my knives. So
Maybe you
look at
feed your
this.
dog more regularly.
Maybe. I don't know. She doesn't like knives, I don't think. So who's this box from?
Oh, right, I got a box here. Listen, I got a box. I got a knife too. I got a knife in my pocket. So I got a box here from Justin in Poco, in Haiku, Hawaii, in Maui. And he, it's called Razor Sharp Hawaii. Is that his?
Oh, yeah.
That's his handle on Instagram. I think he's got a knife sharpening company, and he's up island, so he's kind of like partway up the mountain in Maui. He's not on the coast. He's in this little town that's famous for having a real cowboy culture, which is interesting.
Oh, neat. I'm just looking him up here to see.
And I just in here. Oh, look at this. Oh, I got all kinds of good stuff, man. Look at this. That's a hat.
That's cool.
That's a hat, and it's got a sticker that has to come off. But it's a hat that says Razor Sharp Hawaii. Look at that. It's got a scary face.
Yeah.
Swords coming out of its face. So that's pretty cool. Looks like I got a new hat today. I'm going to bend the brim. I hope that's not a problem.
The kids don't like it, Kevin. Yeah, you're going to have to open that one up a bit.
Oh, there's a piece of cardboard in here, too. Woohoo! I got a fire. That's handy.
Look at that.
There. How do I look?
That's a good hat. Like
it's kind of grayish.
Yeah.
A charcoaly color. That's fun. And look at this. Look at this. I got chocolates, macadamia nuts. So it is like I went to Hawaii.
It is. Those are all the things that you'd bring home.
This is the sort of thing I would totally bring home. Chocolate macadamia.
I ran off because the phone was ringing.
Well, don't answer the phone. You're live, dude. Listen, Justin, if you're watching, I don't know if I haven't seen if you are. If you are, give us a wave or come and say hi or something. But thanks, man. This is awesome. I'm totally gonna eat these. This is gonna be awesome fun. I'm gonna feel like I love Maui. I don't know if you know that, Chris.
Well,
but I've been a few times, and I really like the Maui.
Yeah, I know my dad went to Hawaii once when I was a kid, but it was for work. But I don't know.
He probably killed somebody.
Oh, probably not. He probably looked at a computer somewhere. But yeah, so Steve says he doesn't care about the old handles, cheap plastic ferrule with magnolia. So just
smash it.
Just smash the shit out of it, dude.
Just smash it.
Yeah.
Don't burn it off.
No. Smashing is fun.
Smashing is fun. It's a sick flow I've got here, buddy.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I think, you know what? I can't get a haircut. All the barbershops closed. I haven't had a haircut for a year now, but I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm actually just going to cut it myself tonight, Chris. Maybe I'll put a ponytail on the top and all the bits that are hanging down, I'll trim them off and then cut around it with a bowl. Fix it.
There we go. Yeah, why not? Why not?
It turns out that you can just wear a hat like I do now.
Well, I met there's this barber that I went to go see for a while, and Nathan says cut it on video, Kevin. Give the people what they want. The first time I met this barber was I went in, and because I had gotten a bad haircut, and I wasn't too happy with it. And I was just like, I'll just get someone to shave it all off. And then I went in to see this guy, and he fixed it up, and it was the nicest thing. He told me after, I was like, oh, well, what do I owe you? He didn't have to shave. He just cut it real short. And he's like, oh, you already paid for that haircut. It's just they did a bad job the first time. I was like, but it wasn't you. Like, let me pay you. It's like, nah, you'll be back. And like, even though I haven't had a haircut in like a year, that's who I go see, is that same guy. He's on the other side of town. It's a real pain in the ass for me, but that was a classy move, and I appreciated it. Oh, Ted's showing up. Hey, Ted.
Ted, if you're in Hawaii, go to Razor Sharp. That's who you get your knife sharpened from in Maui.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Razor Sharp Hawaii. Giving me clothes so I'm not naked. Thanks, man. And macadamia nuts so I don't starve.
Yeah, well, it's important.
This is it. We got Traeger grill. We got a Traeger grill present here too.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Oh, have you got? Yeah, today's just a good day. Good day to be us. I don't know how mine's
Free hat,
going.
free macadamia nuts, free
It's still
Traeger
going.
grill with some pellets. Oh, Chris,
You know what I found
don't
worked,
know
Kevin?
anything.
I was going to say,
No.
there's two little brackets on the side.
Yeah.
If you actually, it'll keep the heat better if you actually kind of push those closed. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, it's warmed up to 245 now. So I couldn't get it up to 200, so I turned it up to 250, and then it all of a sudden shot up to 250, which is
so. But
something.
yeah, no, this thing is pretty fun.
Sure, I've locked it down.
Yeah.
That's right. Send us cooking gadgets, and we'll cook with them poorly, and then we'll eat our food, and then we'll say, "Man, that was so good."
Yeah. Yeah, well, I made an effort. You know, I turned it on yesterday to make sure it was going to work. Now, Rakesh sent these to us a while ago. Like I've had this in the
They've been
shop
sitting around,
since
but
before.
it was December though, right? December's really busy for us.
Yeah. So it's going the way I want it to go so far.
So it looked like you had a couple of trout in there.
Yeah, well, I bought some char.
Oh, some char.
Yeah, the trout, well, there wasn't any trout, and then all they had was like the Atlantic salmon that just didn't look right, you know?
Well, I get that. But I'm just trying to adjust my fire here.
Yeah. So, Damon, we've got the grills going, courtesy of our pal Rakesh, and I'm doing some Arctic char that I cured yesterday with sugar and salt and jalapenos and garlic and lemon. And then Kevin has got a piece of sockeye on his.
Yeah, I yanked a bit of wild sockeye out of my freezer. We buy fish from this guy called Skipper somebody.
Okay.
Skipper somebody. It's kind of what's it called? It's a community supported fishery.
Okay.
So we all kind of buy like
a share almost.
Share or something. Yeah. And then we just get fish.
Cool.
So this one's So I got some weird stuff sometimes. So that's good. Because I like the weird stuff and nobody else does. So I get a lot of it for the price that I pay. Because everybody's like, shads, what are those? We don't want those.
Mm.
Although a shad is not even an item that we can get. What is it? I got a bunch of Humboldt squid recently.
Oh, yeah.
And we should be eating Humboldt squid because I like squid. It's one of the reasons to go to Japan, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one time when you and I were in Takafue, you stuck me with I went to go make a knife and you went squid fishing with
with Kurosaki. That's right.
With Makoto Kurosaki.
Makoto. Yeah. And well, typhoon was coming. That's when the typhoon was coming, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
The fish weren't biting. A typhoon was coming.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah. And then
And then a typhoon came.
Yeah. Yeah. And Visti and I were in Takafue. He was taking more photos, and I was making a knife with Kurosaki's apprentice. And then Visti kept coming in to where I was, and he kept finding dead murder hornets on the ground and threw them at me.
Those big ones with the eyeballs.
Yeah, they're like the size of your thumb. But it's a very Visti thing to do is find these dead bugs and go throw them at a grown man. You know?
Hey, Chef Androla. Cheers. Thanks for coming. Listen, this is the time to ask us anything. Chris and I are just filling time chatting about stupid bees and our new grills that we're using out. My new hat. Do you like my new hat?
Yeah.
I think
that is
might be my new favorite hat. This might be my hat. This might be my new look. So listen, if you've got questions about knives, cooking, life in general, hit us up. We'll see what we can do. We might be able to answer something.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a whole kitchen over there full of knives. You've got a whole store full of knives.
Yeah. Well,
you know what knife I used today, Chris, that I really liked?
Which was that?
I used a very old Takeda 240 Yuto.
Oh yeah, you had that
very
one.
Old because it's
you showed it off last week.
Yeah, I've had it for like 13, 14 years.
Oh wow.
and they're a lot fatter and heavier than his new knives,
Hmm.
and just it's just an awesome blade. I'd forgotten how much I liked using it. It makes
Yeah.
a weird kind of cheap, clinky sound on the butcher block. It sounds terrible,
Huh.
but it's a fun little blade to use. So that was nice.
Yeah. I've been using, so over Christmas, that, like, there was a knife for me under the Christmas tree.
Did you get a knife for Christmas?
I did get a knife for Christmas. I don't know where it came from, but
What did you get?
that Masashi 240 showed up at my
I wonder where
house.
that came from. That's a
And
nice
I don't
little
know.
knife.
I don't know. It's just under the tree. It must have been Santa. But I've been using, so, but
happens
it really
sometimes.
is everything that I wanted it to be. You know?
So you've been talking about this knife for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us.
So,
Tell us.
well, let me go
Tell us
grab
that.
one. I'm going to grab one because it's one of those things, like, I often think that I prefer, I don't know if you can still hear me. I've wandered quite a ways away. I often
can hear you.
prefer a lighter knife because I have gone and, you know, the 15 years I spent in kitchens and not taking particularly good care of myself has left my hands in a bit of a mess. So generally speaking, I prefer a lighter knife. Now, whenever someone
That's not a lighter knife.
not at all, but even though this isn't, you know, this is a new one, but there is some weight to this, but in a good way. Like it's not heavy, but it feels, what's the word? I'm hesitant to use the word rugged because I don't want to give anyone the impression that you can go like smashing through anything with this, but it feels more substantial, I guess. Do you know what I mean? So,
Oh, I know. I've got the same knife. I've got the same
yeah.
knife.
And there's something about Masashi's knives that I really like. I like how flat they are, and then he gives you some curve. Because I do, when I chop, it's all like, you know, I've got my one hand. It's kind of hard. I'm doing this up over my head, so hopefully my point gets across. But I chop like that. You know, I don't rock chop, almost never. And when I teach
I will
the,
sometimes, but not that much.
do you know what? Because a lot of people, now we haven't done one of these in quite some time. But when I'm doing a cut like a chef class, guaranteed
We should
someone.
do one. When are we going to do one?
Oh, well, we're gonna do one on Saturday.
We should do one. We should do
Like
one
this.
because let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about because we're doing some more videos these days because the Ottawa shop is closed.
That's right. Yeah, we are only allowed to do curbside services right now. I'm hesitant. I don't want to just say we're only allowed to do curbside pickup but we can't have you in the store, which is a bit of a pain. We can only do, you know, if you want, sturdy is a good word, Damon. Thank you. And then you know, we're doing a lot of curbside orders. If you've bought something online, you can pick it up in the store, provided we have it in stock. We've been helping people kind of out over the phone a fair bit, like kind of like what I've been telling someone is if we can narrow it down to 2 knives, you can show up and I can show you the 2. Like, it's just, we kind of have to be careful. There's rules to play, right? So we got a table pushed right up against the front.
We're not trying to get around the rules either. Like we're playing within the because the spirit of the thing is we just want to keep people safe. So we want to keep crowds to a minimum. We don't want to be seeing lots of people, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So it's just Alex and I working in the store right now from Monday to Saturday. I should be able to have 1 or 2 of the staff come in over the next few days to kind of help so I can do more of this. And but the goal is, like, if you can narrow it down to a couple of knives, I can show them to you at the front door, and you can make your decision from there. We've done that. A lot of people are dropping knives off for sharpening. It's taking us, because again, it's only the 2 of us, so it's taking us 2 or 3 days to get them done. Yesterday, like, I swear to God, like, we had about 50 or 60 knives dropped off since 12 o'clock yesterday. So Alex has been That's all he's been doing all day. So, which is good because he's faster than I am. So,
Well, he likes it too.
yeah, he likes it a lot. I'm a bit of a what's the word? I'm a reluctant sharpener, you know. So I'll find something else to do. I get bored.
Well, yeah, I'm pragmatic. I like sharpening, but there has to, I'm not going to just go, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to go sharpen
Yeah.
something. There's got to be purpose to it, right? And I don't really get into my whole swing of things until I've done 20.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to sharpen, I want 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'll do too. Is
and a stack of knives, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't get excited or interested in 3.
No. You got to have a bit of a. So what I'll do, and it's actually so on Thursday. So we're keeping everything on the same time for now because it's really is kind of based on the fact that I've got a lot of spare time. Not everybody else does. So at 4:00 Eastern time, so 2:00 for Kevin. If you're watching from Vancouver, I guess it's going to be 1:00. We're going to be doing live videos throughout the week. So on Thursday, I'm going to do some knife sharpening.
Well,
and
for the whole
theme
month,
of
isn't it?
yeah,
It's not just this week,
I guess
it's the whole month.
I'm at it. Yeah, so I'm at it until we're in lockdown until at least the 24th of January. So that's the first day.
That might extend.
Yeah. So we're allowed to, as it stands right now, that's the end. But we're allowed to do curbside. So we can still help you. So don't be shy. Give us a call. We're here. Alex and I are here from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. We're taking Sundays off. But other than that, we're around. You can always email us hello@knifewear.com, hello@kentofinglewood.com. Call the store if you need. We're here to help. So don't be shy. Okay. But this Thursday, I'm going to do a sharpening class at 4:00 my time. And it's going to be, the title of my sharpening class is Sharpening Doesn't Have to Be Hard. And because I think it's one of those things, and we've got a question about some sharpening gear over on YouTube, which I think kind of pertains to this. And then we got a couple of questions over on YouTube as well. So, but what I want to say about sharpening is that it doesn't need to be something. It's like a lot of this. It's like a lot of what we do here at Knifewear. Like we're not shooting for, pretentious elitism answers. Like I would love for you to learn how to sharpen your knives. It doesn't have to be hard. There's always a rabbit hole that you can tumble down. Just like smoker, just like frig anything that I do in my spare time, it seems. But like there's, if you want to just learn how to sharpen a knife and get your knife sharp, that's easy. I can teach you how to do that in 30 minutes. And it's just going to take you a whole bunch of practice after the fact. But then when you get into higher grit stones, this brand of stone versus that, there's a lot to discuss. And it can be really intimidating for somebody. But odds are you need, to be perfectly honest, you need a 220 grit stone, a 1000 grit stone, and a truing stone. That'll sharpen any knife you own. If you've got Japanese knives, you can go higher. If you've got, it really just depends on what you want out of it. But I'll we'll talk more in depth about that on Thursday. Advent.
There was a good question, though. There is a good question. Oh, yeah. Read it, man.
Yeah. So Advent says, what's your preferred way to flatten stones? I've been using an Atoma 140, but I'd hate to wear away such an expensive piece of kit for flattening. Other lapping stones just don't seem to be truly flat. And I think that's something that comes up often.
Let's go with what's your take? What's your take? And I'll give you mine because I've got. Anyway, I've actually talked to Shibata-san about this recently.
Okay. I do like the Atoma. I use the Atoma quite a bit here in the store. I also really like, the big Naniwa truing stone. I like that one a lot. Do you remember that stone, Kevin? We don't see them all that often.
I do.
Yeah. But it's a truing stone about the size of your laptop.
We're trying to get those again. I think we have some in
Yeah.
the Calgary store. I've seen them recently.
Okay.
They're huge. They're
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But they're my favorite. But I see what you're saying about the Atoma. Now, to be honest, depends on how much you're sharpening Advent. But I go through, like, I might replace the Atoma. I think we did it a few months ago, and that was about a year old. Ours in the store.
And Chris, and you said that Alex is doing 60 knives today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do a lot. We go through a lot of knives. We go through a lot of gear. Like, we're hard on our gear.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when I say, like, I say that I prefer the Knifewear professional stones because, like, the 400 grit, I'll go through about one a year here, but we're sharpening 1,000% more than what you probably are. Right. I like
more.
that stone for certain jobs. I do like the 220 as well. The Knifewear 220 feels better, but it depends on what I'm sharpening, But it doesn't have, like I said before, sharpening doesn't have to be that complicated. What do you think about flattening and like lapping stones?
If I can chime in, because I've been dealing with diamond stones and lapping stones and truing stones, whatever you want to call them. I've been dealing with all kinds of methods for years about these. And what I've been doing is what I've come to, like after too many years of dorking around with all this stuff. It's been about 13 years now that I've been serious about sharpening knives, and a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
So I've been what I do is I actually just use the Nanawa truing stone mostly. And what that does, or I guess it's the Knifewear one that we've rebranded as ours.
Yeah.
It's got the cool monkeys on it. But anyway, I use that, and that gets the stone mostly flat. True, they're not exactly flat, these truing stones, but they don't have to be totally flat. They just have to be like 95% flat to flatten the stone properly. You've met Iwasaki-san, right, Chris?
I have not. No.
Okay, so Iwasaki makes you've been to his place, right?
I have, yeah, but he wasn't well when we were there.
But you've been to his place and you see how they sharpen their razors. Now, these are razors for your face. I've never seen him lap his stones. He doesn't flatten his stones. He just uses them and gets he gets a razor sharp edge, like a literally razor sharp edge. I was talking to Shibata-san about it, and he said, he goes, it's not that important. He says, you got to get them really flat. But he goes, mathematically flat, not important. And he's one of the best knife sharpeners in the world. What I generally do is I will flatten sometimes. If I feel the stones kind of get out of hand, I'll flatten with my diamond stone. But the thing is about that diamond plate is that it's really aggressive. And if you think of a sharpening stone like mountains and valleys, so it's like peaks and valleys. So the whole stone is like jagged like this, right? Those peaks, if they're really sharp, they remove steel quickly when you run the knife over it. But I actually find that the diamond plates round those mountains out. So after you flatten your stone with a diamond plate, it doesn't sharpen as well anymore. So what I do is, if I use the diamond plate, I'll use a traditional stone or truing stone after to kind of reliven the edge. So I just kind of take the top layer of those kind of rounded mountains out of the stone. Does that make sense, Chris?
It does, yeah. And I never really found myself in that situation there for a bit. But I trued the green wheel that we use, Kevin. Ours got kind of warped.
They do. They get warped sometimes. You got to maintain them.
I took the Atoma plate and I went over it as the wheel was moving, and I cheated. It was great. And then but I had to open it up again. Like, it had got, there's a word that people use, glazed.
Glazed?
Yeah. And it just wasn't cutting the right way. So I took the Knifewear one and just gave it a few scrubs, and it pulled all that junk out.
Yeah, they just get too flat and they don't work right. That's my theory.
We had two other questions. We got Chris Walker is asking about cleaning his knives. If I'm feeling lazy, feel like filling a sink full of soapy water. Is it going to hurt my knives if I just run them under water and wipe them down with a wet cloth? No.
That's what I do.
not at all. Just depends on what you've been
I just,
cutting,
yeah.
right?
If I need a bit of soap, I might put a soap on a rag and
Yeah,
just give it a bit scrub, rinse it, and dry it, and put it
yeah,
up on the rack.
yeah.
Yeah,
The most important thing you should do is make sure you dry it off, like Kevin said. You don't ever want. It doesn't even. You know what? Even if it's like a cheap Canadian Tire knife, don't put it in the dishwasher. It's just dangerous. Don't let them kind of drip dry either, because the water sitting, even stainless steel will rust if it sits
yeah,
there with
just to dry
little
fast.
drops of water on it. So, but then uh, Pat had asked, and this was a few minutes ago, so I hope Pat's still around. What do you think of the new Takeda stuff compared to the older stuff? Because we started getting the newer stuff as I started working. So I didn't really get to use the older stuff very much. Like I guess he would mean like the carbon steel versus the carbon
Yeah,
cladding versus, yeah.
I'll tell you the big difference. Because I've got a 14-year-old, or maybe it's 13-year-old Takeda. Um, that's carbon. It's Algami Super with carbon steel around the outside. And the way he used to forge those, he forged them like as train spikes. They'd be really thin, then they would get fat right at the spine.
Mhm.
They'd get thin like that. And he did that because it had to give the blade structure, because the soft carbon steel on the outside with the core, he made his knives so skinny that they were easy to bend, and the knives would
Mm.
bend quite readily. So now what he does is he has the carbon steel core, Algami Super, and then he wraps stainless around it, and he doesn't have to put that weird kind of train spike top to his knives anymore, because the stainless steel is much more rigid. So one, he's getting the blades a lot thinner now, because he's always said that a thin knife cuts steel or cuts food better. So he's trying to make
Mm.
the thinnest knife possible. So his new knives are much thinner, and they're less likely to bend because the stainless steel is much more rigid. And there's less maintenance issues, right? You just have to worry about the exposed steel right along the edge. So I
Yeah.
think his new blades, I think he calls them NAS, are
Yeah.
new Algami Super NAS. I think are far superior. I think he's making such incredible knives now. He was before, but I think they're better now. Now I've also got an opinion about Takeda's knives. I love them. I love him, but I think that everybody that loves knives should have one Takeda knife.
Mm.
They should have a 240 Guto. And if you want more, have some more. It's fun. But
Yeah.
I don't think you need a whole set of Takeda knives, because I don't think his knives. I think his knives are weird and cool, but I don't think they're the perfect for a set of knives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Prove
because
me wrong. Come on,
they
tell me
do,
I'm
like
wrong. I would love to hear what your views are.
yeah, there's been a couple of customers of ours, particularly in the Montreal area, who are like Takeda obsessed, which is great. But they're just, yeah, for me, like, I don't know if, like, yeah, I would agree with the Gyuto. Like, the Gyuto kind of fits what I really like. His Hanasuki is pretty cool too, is pretty beefy.
Actually, his Monosuke is great too. True. And
Yeah.
his slicers,
They're all
okay.
great.
There's lots of them.
Like,
He makes great knives, right? But I think
but
his
you know what? His
240 Guto
knives,
is his signature knife.
yeah, I don't think his knife is perfect for everyone. Like I would say, like, because sometimes you'll get some, like a certain customer comes to mind where she bought a Nikiri, and it was a few years ago, and it fit in her hand perfectly. We had gone, like, I love when this customer comes in because we get to look at all the cool stuff, um but she brought it home and used it and found that the way it cut into, bought a Nikiri, she was thinking, I want this for like denser veg like potatoes and things like that, and the way that it's ground just didn't agree with her. Like, it was just like, it just kind of, like, it's almost like, you know how like a Moritaka like kind of wedges because it's like a smaller shinogi, I guess, like that
Yeah.
primary bevel. Sorry, I'm using jargon here, but when you're looking at a knife, and we've got that from here to here, we would call the primary bevel, and in Japanese, you'd call that the shinogi. And on a Takeda or Moritaka, it's generally much smaller. But I think a lot of us are used to when they're bigger, so you get more of a gradual taper off of the edge. But when you've got Takeda or Moritaka, it's very short. It's very easy to sharpen, and it's a lot of fun to sharpen. But it kind of gives you more of like an like a denser quality when you're cutting. I don't know how to really describe it. I don't like saying the word wedgie because that's something that that's a word people use to complain, but it does, like, I don't know, it's got more, they're more durable for it, I guess, but they do tend to
Got
like
more
kind of
substance
drive.
to it. It's the way it's built, right? Like it's not the knife for
Yeah.
everybody, but I think everybody who loves knives should have
Yeah.
a Takeda, and they should have a 240. Period. If you love knives, get a 240 Kyuto from Takeda-san. It'll be cool. You'll love it.
Yeah.
It'll be great fun.
And then we've got Steve was going to ask. Sorry, Steve. I was going to. You got another question here, so I'm going to ask. I'm going to throw both of them out there. So Steve's first question was, what do you think is the most difficult steel to sharpen? Sorry, what's the most challenging steel to sharpen? And then he followed up with, what do you think are the main differences from mass-produced quality knives like Shun, Miyabi, Yaxwell, etc., to compared to what are similarly priced knives from smaller Japanese makers?
The two hardest knives to sharpen, the two hardest
Yeah.
steels to sharpen, are ZDP 189 or HAP 40. Both of those are insane. They're so
Yeah.
wear resistant. They're so hard. They're so hard to sharpen, difficult because you just have to work harder. But I think
Yeah.
the hardest knives to sharpen are really cheap stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to get a good edge on them. It's so hard to break the burr off because you'll basically you'll get a little wire edge right on the edge that just kind of flops back and forth. It never cuts. You can't break it off. It's so difficult to sharpen cheap stainless steel. That's my theory. And of course, some of the super hard steels are tricky. They're not hard to sharpen. You just have to work harder. Like you just have to do more
Yeah,
work,
they just,
right? Not that they're tricky.
yeah, it
You just
doesn't
have to
require,
spend more time doing it.
there's no like secret tricks to them. It's just a matter of patience. Right?
Yeah,
That's
just
what I
do
find.
more
And that's kind of
work.
why I was joking before about, and I know Kevin's very similar to me, is sometimes things that take attention for a long time, they don't always stick so great with me. I sometimes want to do a lot of things very quickly. And if something requires me to slow down, I force myself into situations to like slow things down, you know? Like that's, so sharpening is good for it sometimes that way, but then what do we think about like kind of the Shuns, the Miyabis, the Yaxwells compared to similarly priced knives from smaller Japanese makers?
Well, I think out of all of them, I prefer Miyabi, everything Miyabi makes to anything Shun makes. And we don't carry XL for a couple of reasons. What do I think? I think that they're the right knife for many, many people, to be honest. I think they probably are more rugged, they're less likely to chip, but they don't have the je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
Right? I think Miyabi knives are like, you know that coffee machine you see all through Europe where you can go and you put your cup in and press cappuccino and it spits out a cappuccino? And it's not the best cappuccino in the world, but you never get a bad one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think they're a lot like that. Like they're just a great fine knife, but if you want to really strike the stratosphere of what you're capable of what a knife's capable of, I think you need to find a really skilled blacksmith.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I follow. It makes
like that knife of yours that you just had out there,
yeah, here, I'll grab it.
That Musashi, that is probably double expensive of any Miyabi that's that size.
Yeah.
And possibly the Miyabi Black will stay sharp longer, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't
It's
have
harder
the
steel.
same. It doesn't have the same interest or the same feel or the same anything to me, right? It's a mass-produced item rather than a handmade thing. It's like a poster from, like a poster from IKEA versus a painting from an artist, right? Like they're great. I like the Miyabi knives. I just actually picked up the little Hana. I picked up the little 150 because I think the shape's incredible. I love the handle.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like kind of like
it's a great knife. But
it's like almost Hanasuki shaped, right? It's like kind of like triangular. Yeah. No, they're a cool shape.
It's almost like a really, really narrow Hanasuki. I really like that knife. And then the handle's a bit kind of offset too, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's a great knife, but it doesn't have the same amount of interest for me as a
Yeah.
handmade knife. And I don't think you'll ever get a tremendous factory made knife compared to a tremendous handmade knife.
You know,
If that
one
makes
that I
any sense.
think kind of falls
Does
into
that answer
this
your
discussion.
question? Who
I
was
think
asking
so.
about that?
That was
Steve was.
Steve over on. Look, my fish is done. I just cooking it until it got a little
Your fish
bit
is
flaky.
done.
Yeah.
Oh, I should check mine was a really fat piece though.
Yeah, mine's super thin.
Yeah. Mine was a pretty healthy salmon.
Here, now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off again. I don't remember. Oh, I did it. I had to read it. The instructions were simple, but it turns out you actually have to read them. So, but yeah, I would agree with that, Kevin. Like, I think there is something like, you know, like things like Miyabi does a good job because they do put a little more effort into the look, and they use more interesting steels, I think, as compared to some of the others. But yeah, I would buy handmade over and over, like every time. So.
Yeah, but then again, I've got like if I look at my knives that I've got right now up there, I've got two Tojiro that are
Yeah.
stamped more factory made knives. I've got
Mhm.
one from Hadayuki up there, and I've got
Yeah.
let's see. Oh, and I've got that new Miyabi. So those are all in action in my kitchen
Yeah.
currently, and it's not like I don't have very many knives. I got a lot of fucking knives, right? And I just
Yeah.
rotate them kind of monthly or every second month. I just take down the 20 that are in there and take 20 more out and put them back up on the thing and go for that, right? So Miyabi knives, for example, I think are great.
Yeah.
I just, for a lot of reasons, I prefer a handmade knife. I
Yeah, but
see
you're like,
Adam's asking us. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, like, you know, the big thing for me is the story sells me a knife. You know, like that's how I ended up with Moritakas in the beginning. Was I walked. It was like I've probably told this story before, but I just walked into the Knifewear Ottawa the day it opened, I think.
You
And
were there, yeah, you were there on opening day. Steve Wall was first. He was
no,
there
but I
before
think,
we opened.
but Tarek, I think, was the first guy rung through. The guy who, at least that's what the photo on the wall says, first customer. So Tarek owns, for those of you who don't know, Tarek owns a great place in Centertown called Gong Fu Bao.
Tarek came in the day before we were open.
Okay.
That's why he did it.
Yeah. So, but I just walked down the line and I saw a knife and I didn't realize this before. I have another one. I had a Deba from Moritaka. And I didn't realize I was looking at something made by the same person. And I just really liked that Ishime finish. And it was a big 240 karat suke. And it was kind of just said my name and I needed to have it. And I came back 3 days later, I think. And I bought the 130 petty. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a
I brought your
story.
broken Deba back.
Yeah. Fridge Man, that is a Traeger smoker. There was a guy, Rakesh gave us some. He gave one to the Ottawa store, and then there's one floating around in Calgary there. So,
And if you see smoke on my video, it's because I'm sitting beside a fire.
yeah. So, all right. Well, Kevin, you've gone and stirred the pot here with this Yaxle thing.
Well, I'll tell you about the axle. Why I'm not a fan of the axle. I don't like their fit and finish terribly. I don't think they're very good that way, and I don't like the reliance on a foreign country to help them make it. Meaning they do some of the processes outside of Japan.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
listen, and then there's other companies that do that too, and they do it well.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think
it's
that's
fine.
fair
Like
too.
they're like if you like the knives, keep carrying them, man. Because I see somebody fighting Usyk says I carry Axel. I don't.
Oh no,
Or
I
why
think he
don't
says
you carry
interested in why
Axel?
you. Yeah, I think there was
Oh,
an
I see.
errant error enter key in there.
Yeah, it's just a personal thing. We test when we buy a new knife, when we buy a new frying pan, or we buy a new barbecue, or before it hits our shelves, we get one, sometimes two, and what we'll do is we'll run it through his paces. And like if knives come in, I'll try them. Me and Nalta run through their paces. Mike, sometimes we send them off to the other stores. Sometimes I'll pass them around to chefs I know and let them really beat the snot out of them. And that's fine, right? That's this, or not that's fine. Sorry, that's how we find out what we like. So we all come back and we say, this is my opinion of it. Here's my idea, and we all compare ideas. And then if we disagree, we'll go and look at the knife again or whatever. So this is how we choose products for us. And the XL knives just never made it past that process for us. I sound like an asshole. I don't think they're terrible. I think we could do better, right? I think I think with Shana Miyabi and Tojiro and some of the Hadayuki, I think we can do much better than.
Well, and at the end of the day, like we can't carry every knife under the sun, you know.
But I want
the
to,
ones we
Chris.
like the most, right?
But I want to. But I want to carry all the ones I like. I want to carry. And I know that's a stupid. I know that's a stupid way to do stuff, but that's why we have too many knives, because there's a lot of knives I love. So we carry too many. Excuse me, I'm coughing because there's smoke here. It's not because I went to Hawaii.
Our pal Fred.
Yeah, they outsource some of their stuff.
Over on Facebook says, I notice most Americans only know either Shun or Miyabi as high end because of stores like Williams Sonoma or Sur La Table. No one really explains to them that they're handmade, but way better quality than most German handmade knives, and that the Japanese work ethic always produces better knives, even factory made knives. And I think a lot of that, and that's something that we've always said, is it's all about the steel, right? Japanese knives are made out of harder steel. And harder steel is going to make a sharper knife that stays sharper for longer. And that's the most important thing when you're picking out a knife, right? Is what's the knife supposed to do? It's supposed to be sharp. So let's get the ones that are going to stay the sharpest for the longest amount of time. And that's exactly what you like. Yeah, Fred, like a Tojiro DP is going to run laps around a Victorinox, you know, and it just comes down to the metal, right? I like Victorinox well enough. I've got 2 of them at home, but you know, VG10, factory made or not, it's just going to make a sharper knife. And it's, you know, I'm going to say it's science, and hopefully no one tests me too hard on that because I'm not that smart.
Because it might not be.
Yeah, you know. Fighting Usyk received a single discontinued Dragon Fire in BD1N steel, and he really loves the steel, but as I get more higher end Japanese knives, it gets used. I'm not familiar with BD1N.
Which steel?
BD,
what are we talking about here?
Oh, it's over
BD1N. Dragon Fire. I don't know the knife Dragon Fire. I don't know BD1N steel.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
any of
that is. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Meki has got a good thing here. A couple of my handles are pretty dry and need a waxing, but they're also a little scuffed up. Anything I should try to hit it with to clean it up other than soapy water? We talked about this earlier today, Kevin and I. So what, you know what, Meki is...
Because my fish is done. It's fantastic.
Oh, great.
Smells great.
Yeah.
Looks great. I just had a little chunk out of the middle of it. This is awesome. So I'm just going to put that inside.
It's nice and gentle, this thing. Yeah, mine's just sitting here beside me. Meki, what you want to do is get a little bit of a fine grit sandpaper. You know, something around, like I've got some of the 400 grit stuff here in the store, and just kind of use that to buff out the dirt, if it will, like give it a bit of a cleanup before you give it the wax. The wax will help, or the sandpaper will get all the smudges and whatnot off, and then the wax will kind of get you back on track. The best thing you can do about a wooden handle is just try not to get it wet, or as little as possible. you know.
Yeah.
But I still like when I'm washing my knives. Yeah, I wash the handles too. I dry them off and just wax them as needed. You know, it's more of it's a thing that's easier to stay ahead of than to catch up on, if that makes sense. And then, okay, Kevin, we are being educated. BD1N is I don't know what a lot of this means. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. BD1N.
I have no idea what that means.
Is a nitrogen-based stainless steel that can get up to around 63 Rockwell C and is still relatively easy to sharpen. Well, it sounds great. I've just never really had any experience with it.
I've never heard the name until just today, and I can
Yeah.
only talk about what I've had experience with. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Every day we learn stuff because you know what? I know lots about knives, but not everything. My God.
Yeah. Well, there's always, and you know what? There's
There you
nothing
go.
wrong with you
Now I
guys
gotta
telling me
find.
something.
Now I gotta hunt that down.
Yeah.
So I can get.
No, it sounds cool. I like
dreamy.
hard steels that are easy to sharpen. You know. Here, let me show you my fish. Came out pretty good, I think.
My fish is. I just kind of maybe just popped a bit of the corner off and ate it, and it was delicious.
I'm going to do that now. But Fred says he just got an Onobachi from Kent of Inglewood for Christmas. Would Clapham's board wax be what I should use on the handle, or just a neutral mineral oil? The board wax will do great.
Wax.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know a lot of guys like to use. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say we've got the Knifewear one now too. So we've got a guy in Edmonton making us a board wax. I prefer it's a little bit less wax and a bit more oil, so it penetrates a bit more and it doesn't get so sticky.
Mine's a little salty near the end, in the thin bit. Got a little too salty.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But let me try the other end where it's fatter. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'll eat that. Put that on some salad or something tomorrow.
Mine was actually quite delicious. I didn't show you, Chris. I threw an eggplant into my fire here too.
I saw you waving something. I couldn't tell what it was.
I got a fire on the go here. Look at that. And I just stuck an eggplant in there, and just in the ashes, because I'm just gonna roast that guy and make something fun out of it later. I don't know what yet, but it's always good to have a fire roasted eggplant on hand. Apparently, back to BD1N steel. Apparently, Yaxaw started making knives with it, and Spyderco has a line with Murray Carter. So Murray Carter is a Canadian blacksmith. Spent some time in Japan, and now he's making a lot of survival knives and neck knives and kitchen knives. In I think he's in Oregon, and runs kind of like a survivalist camp as well out there.
Oh yeah, I've heard the name before.
I believe that. I met him in at the Second Knife Show one year. It was very funny.
Oh, okay.
He's about my size, right? So we are towering over everybody there. And
he would have stuck
walks up with his entourage. Yeah, and he's like, "Who the hell are you? You don't look like you belong." We had a little chat.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't know much about outdoor stuff. I usually give Adam up in Edmonton a call when it comes to outdoor stuff, because I don't know if you guys know this about me. Bit of an indoor kid. So.
All right, Van Island LP said, should a knife like a Moritaka be thin to perform better? I've been eyeing a 240 Gyuto in either the AS or standard Ishime and would like to know how to get best performance. You know what? The Moritaka family's been making that knife, and they've been working on changing the knives and making them better for 700 years.
Yeah.
Maybe they're pretty good at it, but you know what? Once it's your knife, you can do anything you want to it. And that's one of the fun things about sharpening is you can just do what you like, right? So I do some crazy stuff sometimes just because I fancy it or want to do it. I'd say go for it. If you want to buy a Moritaka and thin it out, go for it. Will it make it perform better? I don't know. Give it a go. Tell us how it goes, right?
It wouldn't really be like it would be not a standard Moritaka knife anymore, right? Because the thing I like about the Moritakas,
but then it's your knife too, right?
yeah,
Then it becomes your own.
yeah, because I'm pretty hard on that knife. Like I like that it's not as thin as some of my other stuff because I've never chipped it and I've never really been too nice to it. So when someone brings in a chipped Moritaka, I don't shame anybody, but in my head, I'm like, what the hell did you do? So, but you know what? If you wanted to, that would be, I guess that would be the thing is kind of thinning it out a bit better. But I love the Moritakas. They're a hard working knife. Yeah, well, you know what, Van Isle, I tend to overthink stuff a lot myself. So, Ice-ish Baby wants to buy a larchwood cutting board and wants to go big. Do you usually keep it on the counter or store it and take it out with each use? I leave mine on the counter and then wash it when I'm done. And then I put it back on the counter. It's I have a pretty big one. I think I have the large size.
You've got the biggest one, I think.
Yeah. No, well, they've made a bigger one since, which is a pain in the ass.
Oh.
I would have bought that one. But now I got to buy another cutting board, so it's fine. I don't mind having more than one. So yeah, just, you know what, just leave it on the counter. When you're washing it and whatnot, I just bring it over to the sink, and I think they sum it up really well in their care sheet. They say, give it a shower, not a bath. So just kind of rinse it with some water, get some soap on there. You don't need, a lot of people get nervous about cutting on wood and thinking that, wood is less sanitary than a plastic or whatnot. But the neat thing about wood is that it used to be alive and used to be able to fight germs on its own, and it can still do that somewhat. So a little bit of soap and water is all you need to keep it clean. All right. They don't require any special care that way. But their care sheet's great. I really like that. Give it a shower, not a bath. Because if you soak the wooden board, you can cause it to warp or kind of glue will come apart in the joints or whatnot. End grain wood, like a larchwood board, is really what's best for your knives. Your knives will stay sharpest longest when you're cutting on that type of board. But just like the knives, they'll require a little bit of extra maintenance, we're falling a bit behind here on YouTube, so I'm going to blast through a couple here, Kevin, just so we don't fall behind.
Okay.
Thoughts on SG2? Yeah, thoughts on SG2 R2 sharpening compared to ZDP 189, fragility, etc. ZDP is going to be a lot harder. It's going to get sharper, hold its edge for longer, but SG2 is nothing to sneeze at.
I think SG2 is a way better steel because I think ZDP 189 is a huge pain in the ass to sharpen.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah. I think ZDP is painful.
It takes forever.
I'm a huge fan of R2 or SG2 steel.
Yeah.
Massive fan. Yeah. And it's not quite, it doesn't stay sharp quite as long as SRS 15, like some of the Hadayuki Kuma knives. But it's SG2 is a lot more stable than SRS 15 as well. I think I've chipped it less and I've done really bad things to it. ZDP, I don't know. I suppose it's fun. I don't have any ZDP knives. I've had them through my hands. I've sold them off. I've passed them along.
We have two people asking about. I think we just gave Usyk we gave him the seal of approval. He also does not like ZDP, so is appreciating the backup.
I like it and I don't. I've got the one Mugen knife that's ZDP, but every time I think about having to sharpen it, I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a lot of work, right?
We've had a couple of people in the last couple of minutes ask about magnetic knife holders up on the wall, and if what our opinions are, and if you can chip your knives when putting them on or off. I would be hesitant to recommend one that is not the ones that we sell.
I only like the wooden ones.
Yes, well, that's what I'm gonna. I have one left in stock, so I'm gonna grab it. We have none of these things left. So
Here.
yeah,
This is my cooked here. I'm just showing everybody my my totally burnt up avocado or avocado. What do you call these things? Aubergine,
Naso.
eggplant,
Nasu.
Nas.
Okay,
Yeah.
so these are made by a company called Bow Green. They're great. So he uses really strong magnets. So to answer Corinne on Instagram, the knives are not prone to falling off of these because the magnets are nice and strong. All right. And to for Dream over on YouTube, metal ones, very easy to chip a knife. Like those $9 ones you get at IKEA, he'll beat the shit out of your knives. Be careful on those.
And scratch them, and break them.
Yeah, you'll scratch them right up. But the best advice I can give everyone is if you're using a magnet like this, you lead with the spine, okay? Start with the spine, put the knife on, roll it over, okay?
Yeah.
Now it's on there nice and safe. When you're going to take it off, you twist it back to the spine and then take it off, okay? If you just go and slam it on, you could chip it, you could run it into something else. That's how my Kagura, that 150 Gyuto, got chipped. So my girlfriend just rammed it into another knife on the magnet, which
That's my face. That's the face.
we didn't really talk. We still haven't talked about it much. I fixed it and then just asked her not to touch that one.
Chris Walker says, yes, you can chip your knife taking off the holder. Ask me how, says Chris Walker.
Oh, Chris.
So apparently he's got some experience. Sorry, Chris. Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Chris Walker will appreciate my coffee mug, though.
Chris Walker seems somewhat familiar. Is Chris on Twitter quite a bit?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good customer in Calgary, and I kind of like him.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's tuning in because of the Traeger grill. So I told him he could borrow mine anytime he likes.
Oh, you're a nice guy. What else we got here? So that was the magnets. And then Dorian
Someone says about bamboo.
Yeah, so Dorian, my friend, is obsessed with bamboo cutting boards. What's the best cost-effective alternative to buy for them and throw their bamboo in the fire pit? You know what? Those Tojiro boards.
Plastic one?
Or even, cheap. What I always tell people when they're in the shop is you've got end grain wood is the best. All right. But like, we don't need to pretend end grain wood is going to cost more because a lot more work goes into it. Right. So I always tell people wood or plastic is your best bet. Anything that is a guaranteed softer material than your knife. Bamboo looks really pretty.
What about bamboo? It's wood.
Well, bamboo's a grass. And the reason why bamboo gets so tall and that is because it actually pulls a lot of silica out of the ground. This might all be bullshit. I don't know. Someone told me this and it wasn't Kevin.
So I like the story though.
So, but it pulls all this, like the silica out of the ground, which gives it so much strength. But silica is what sand is made out of and glass is made out of sand. So it's really bad. It's like cutting on like a lesser form of glass. It's just incredibly hard and it'll cause your knife to dull. So that's why we always say wood or plastic, like those white cutting boards that Kevin and I would have spent 15 years cutting on in kitchens. They're fine. They're not going to cause any harm. Might not be the nicest option, but it's not going to dull your knife any quicker, right? Bamboo,
they're not
glass.
Nice to look at.
Yeah.
They're not nice to look at. They're not nice to cut on. Like there's nothing nice about them, but they're fine.
Yeah.
And they're cheap. They're a cheap option.
Yeah. But I'll put a link in here for you, Dorian, because I don't actually have one in the shop right now to show you. But Tojiro started making some cutting boards out of Paulina wood, which I'm not super familiar with. It is incredibly lightweight and they're cheap. They're like $40 and a really nice option. So here's the mini. I'll put that in. I'll put the link up for that. So you could have a look at it. Super, super lightweight though. I was shocked. But I would say this is probably the closest to what you and I are talking about right now.
Probably. My aubergine's done.
Nice.
My salmon is done. Thank you. I didn't realize you just put it in and then take it out when it's done. That's kind of I had a real realization here, Chris, about smoking and smokers and grills. Because I've used this thing 3 times. I've done no experience, no research at all. I just know how to cook
Yeah.
stuff. And you know what happened? It all worked out good.
Mm-hmm.
So I put this fish on here until it was cooked, and then I took it off. What a
That's all it takes, right?
surprise. And it tastes great. So there you go.
Yeah, Damon says, so here's a good point. Damon says, in Ontario, we're not allowed to use a wood board for food service, so it's white, yellow boards only for me, which means extra sharpening every month. It's
Sorry, that's an Ontario thing? You can't
Yeah.
use wood?
Yeah, the health inspector will give you shit. So most people, if they do have wooden boards around, they'll hide them whenever the health inspector comes around. But
That's
no,
interesting.
it's pretty much here. If it can't go through the dishwasher, they don't want you to use it. Is essentially it.
That's interesting. So they had all the butchers in Alberta, like back in the 80s, replace all their wooden butcher blocks with
Yeah.
stainless steel tables with big, thick plastic. And then all these butchers were getting injured by using their axe or their cleaver on these terrible things.
And
And
they'd probably skip off of it.
well, yeah, they were getting injured from like just having a bad shoulder and elbow injuries
Yeah.
from just whacking on this hard thing. And then they found out, like you said, that wood is actually antimicrobial by itself,
Yeah.
right? So it's not really. Anyway, so you'll find butcher shops in Alberta that have butcher blocks again, like Acme. My buddy Acme up in Edmonton. You go and see him, and they do it all on wood. And they get a guy that comes in with a plane, and he has like it's a really interesting. It's like a circular plane that he just kind of puts in the center of the board, and then does this, and then kind of takes layers off the board and flattens them out again. So that's kind of cool. So I didn't know there was an Ontario thing. You can use wood here in Alberta. There you go.
Yeah. Dorian, that $40 mini wood board that I referred to, if you were in it, they should have those, and according to the website, they have them in the Vancouver store. It's just me who's out of stock of them, apparently, which is, I guess, convenient because no one's allowed to come into the store. I suppose if someone's going to be out, it may as well be me. So, but yeah, no, those would be those ones there in the Vancouver shop. So, Damon says, as someone with Greek heritage, I've always wanted an olive wood board, but I'll only ever get to use it at home, so can't justify the expense. I will tell you, just for the record, the stuff that I had at home was always nicer than the stuff I brought to work. You know, it was kind of like, and that's like the first thing I say to I don't know, Kevin, how many times in your life have you answered oh, well, I'm not a professional chef, so I don't need one of these nice knives. And then my comeback to that is, when I was a professional chef, I never brought one of these to work because someone would steal it. I said, now that I don't cook professionally, I've got all the nice stuff, you know?
Yeah,
you can enjoy it at home. You know?
I'm not a professional driver, but I'd have a Ferrari if I could.
Damon says, oh, laugh out loud. The real reason is I'm afraid to leave it with my wife. My wife, you got me. I understand. That's how my knife got chipped. That's why there's decoy knives.
My wife is, I'm really tall and my wife's much shorter. So sometimes I use the top shelf as a defense for things.
Yeah. What I've done with my knife.
Shelves in our kitchen right to the roof.
Yeah. That's
we
true.
get shelves right to the ceiling. And I'll tell you what, those top shelves are my department only.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ambitious enough to climb up and get stuff. So there you go, Damon. If you're tall, top shelf, buddy.
Yeah. So what I did, so I've got 3 of the bow grain magnets in my kitchen, and up top is all my knives. Next one, all my knives, and then right here, there's her knife, and then my knives. So the knife that is easiest to grab is her knife. So, for what it's worth, maybe that helps. I don't know. So, Hagasawa has an incredible synthetic surface board with a wood core, pricey but great for proteins. We had those. We had those at the last
We had a couple of them, yeah, a couple garage sales ago.
in a couple garage sales ago. I know that Nauto loves them, and it's my understanding he has been trying to get them again. So keep an eye out for that.
The problem is, I one day, I said these are expensive for no reason,
Mm,
and that has stuck in Nauto's brain hard, and he doesn't want to piss me off ever. So I have to remind me to email him and say no, please order some, just because I didn't
okay.
like them, but other people do. It's
Yeah. I'll send you a text after,
important.
Kevin.
It's not that I don't think they're good. I think they're great. I didn't personally like them for me, because I prefer cutting on wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Nauto sometimes, because Nauto does most of our foreign, like most of our Japanese ordering.
Yeah.
I do most of the garage sale ordering, and then he comes along behind me and then fills in the blanks. He sees that I ordered only Nikiris, so then he goes and buys a bunch of other things just so it's a real sale, right?
For sure.
Way back, AJ is probably not watching anymore, but he did ask. A guy named AJ asked, what are we doing for a February sale at Knifewear? And the thing is, right, usually we have a Masakagi sale on February. We have Masakagi knives at 15% off. We're not doing that this year. We just don't have the supply for it. The problem is, if we did it, we would be sold out of Masakagi knives in one day, and we probably won't get them replenished until the end of the month. We are having supply issues. I don't know if you know. There's a worldwide. It's called a pandemic. Did you hear about this, Chris?
I heard about it. Is that why I'm not allowed to open the door to the store?
Yeah, and that's why I'm stuck in my house until Friday, because I'm in quarantine. So there's a worldwide pandemic going on, and it has stopped the free flow of people. It's slowed things down, and one of the problems is we can't seem to get enough knives right now from our blacksmiths. So we can't actually have a Masakagi sale because we'll be sold out in a day, and everybody will be so angry at us. Like in the summer when we had that bread knife sale. Do you remember that, Chris?
Yeah.
How long did our bread knife sale last?
Like 3 hours.
I think it was 3 hours. It's supposed to be a week long. And in 3 hours, we sold a year's worth of bread knives because everybody was making sourdough bread at home, and we didn't have enough knives. And plus, we had relied on a shipment from 2 suppliers that never arrived.
Yeah, they just never showed.
Well, they did eventually. They've Chris, you don't know this, but all of the Miyabi knives arrived about December 21st.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Not really helpful for us.
No, not at that point. Yeah, Dorian says that they still don't have a good bread knife sale. Was waiting. They still don't have a good bread knife. They were waiting for that sale. I know that there are some kicking around now. Not that that helps.
We screwed up bad on that sale, so we're not going to do the Masakagi sale and screw up again.
Yeah,
because that would just make too many people angry at us.
Yeah,
we're trying to work on, like, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can get Hadayuki and Fujimoto sales, maybe 2 weeks of each, sometime in like March or April. So I'm hoping for that. We're trying. We're working hard. We've also got Small Makers Month coming up again in July or June. We'll see when supplies arrive. Because actually, let's talk about sales at Knifewear. We've got in May, and then in November again, we've got garage sale. When now, in normal years, I travel to Japan and buy some crazy stuff, right? And then Nauta comes in and buys stuff behind me.
Excuse me.
What we do is we get knives from small makers that can't make enough knives to supply us for the year, new blacksmiths, new companies, experiments, prototypes, overstock, scratch and dent, all kinds of stuff. So right from super bargain stuff to one of a kind, only one in the world, never will be another one kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the garage sale is like. That happens in May for a week, and then a week in November. We also have, hopefully this year, I want to do a 2-week Fujimoto sale and a 2-week Hadayuki sale if we can get the supplies. That's big ones that I want to do. Also, we have Small Makers Month. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was something that we started this year, which was kind of like
last year, Chris.
Well, yeah, what year is it? Okay, yeah. So it was what? It was June. It was June when the stores reopened, or was it July?
June 8th. June 8th stores reopened.
We reopened on June 8th, but it was Small Makers Month. Was that in June? I think it was.
July, I think.
July. Alex is saying July from the other end of the store. So, and he's usually right when I'm wrong about things. So
Last year was a bit of a whirlwind, wasn't it? It was hard to
it
remember.
was, yeah. I don't really know
When we did
where
it.
I am most of the time. And so Small Makers Month was a lot of fun for us because we were able to highlight a lot of these blacksmiths who, like, you know, for garage sale, we'd only get one or two of their knives, like, you know, someone like Mizaki or someone like who we had a bunch of stuff come in one garage sale like 2.5 years ago, and everyone loved all of his stuff. And then we'd get like 4 more in the next garage sale. Or like, so it was like, you know, guys who like would normally we would highlight in garage sale or talk about quite a bit, but garage sales become this beast of its own that we can barely keep up with. So we don't actually get to highlight these guys the way that we want to. And because usually like the knives show up a week later, they're in the stores, and then like 3 days later, they're gone. So this gave us a really great opportunity to meet some of these people. Naoto did a ton of great interviews with the knife makers. We
Yes.
got to see a
The
ton of new
one
stuff.
with Mizaki's really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and they're still on YouTube if you're looking for something to do. But like Manaka, like the
Oh,
Kisuke
he
knife-
was interesting too.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But like there was a bunch of people that we don't normally get to show off very much, because you know, for us to like put your knives in the case, like there's a store in Edmonton, there's a store in Ottawa, there's the Calgary Farmers Market, there's the Calgary store, there's the Vancouver store, right? That's a lot of knives.
There's a
So
website.
if you, well, and there's the website too. I was just thinking of putting a knife in a case, right? But yeah, so if you want to be around, like you got to make a lot of stuff to be like a kind of all year round. So it was a lot of fun to be able to highlight these. I think there was 5 or 6 makers. Like there was the Sakai Kikumori, there was the
Sakai Ul.
Makoto Tadokoro, there
Right.
was
Yes, I mean
Mizaki, there was
Manaka, Kisuke Manaka.
Manaka. Who else was in that case? There was some stuff from Doi. There was, yeah.
There was some not Kejiro Doi, Itsuku Doi.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Like we got to, like, I learned a lot because like I said, like from my standpoint, like, yeah, I get to see all these knives that come in for garage sale before everyone else does. Like I usually have taken over the whole basement here in Ottawa, and I've got everything out. I got to price everything, and you know, and the store is operating around me. So, but I find the big thing is I don't get to learn enough about them. You know, like Naoto does a really good job of giving us all the information that he has, but we don't get to know them the same way that we get to know Onru, or we get to know Moritaka-san, or we get to know Fujiwara-san. So it was really cool. Like the way we set it up in Ottawa, I think everyone did this. We just gave them a whole case, because normally the store is all organized by steel hardness, but I just picked a case and that is all Small Makers stuff. And so it was cool to be able to just huddle around it and have a conversation, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, because like you said, we get 5 or 10 knives from these guys at garage sale. They sell, and we never speak about it, right? So it's good to include them, which leads me to, I wrote a book a few years ago called The Knife Nerd Guide to Japanese Kitchen Knives, but now we are redoing that book this year. I'm supposed to be writing. I haven't started. I'm supposed to be writing a bunch of new stuff, and part of it is I need to go to Japan and meet some of these new guys, right? Because we're adding
Okay, like a
number. We're
edition.
adding a number. Yeah, we're doing a second edition. We're adding a number of makers to it. So we're gonna have Manaka, Mizaki, Sakai-ul. Sakai-ul's got a couple of sharpeners that I want to talk to, and polishers. I've got Shibata-san is going to write an intro to the book, and I'm hoping to get Andrew-san, because he's really eloquent. Hoping to get Andrew-san to write a chapter of the book, or the page,
Okay.
right? It just talks about handing over from his generation to the next generation. So just the process that he's going through to hand over the reins of his company to Ikeda-san.
Yeah.
So just kind of the passing the flame. So we're
that'd be
doing
really
a lot
nice.
of work. So we're doing a lot of work on that, and I'm really excited about seeing what happens with this new book. But
Yeah.
Visty and I still have to get to Japan, meet some of these new guys that we've only talked to on Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And get to know them a bit, and then we can write about them and take their photos and the whole bit.
Well, if you need
So I'm
someone
pretty
to
excited about the new book.
if you need someone to come along and keep Fisty under control, I'm experienced.
Visty wasn't hard to control. You were a problem. Visty was all right.
Oh, I guess so. You're not saving any trouble by bringing me. All right, I
So
understand.
you actually caused trouble, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm nothing if not entertaining. You know.
Because Visty sometimes is a
Um,
little bit safe, but you're
yeah.
never safe, so that's good fun.
Yeah.
I see Dorian says, "What's the rarest firm or blacksmith you can still get knives from now and again?"
Mm,
Shigafusa.
yeah.
He's not forging so many knives anymore, but his son is.
Okay.
And so we can still get knives from Shigafusa. They're pretty rare. Hinura-san is really rare. He pops some knives up, but I think Kagura-san is probably the most rare.
Yeah.
And I was actually just emailing. I was emailing or texting with Shibata-san, about getting some more Kagura knives, because
Okay.
what happens is Shibata-san will jump in his 911, and that's a Porsche, by the way, and he'll drive to Kagura's in Tosa and say, "Hi, I know you're retired, but have you made any knives?" And he's like, "I have. Here is a box."
Yeah.
So his idea of retirement, Kagura-san's idea of retirement, is very different than mine. Because
Yeah.
his idea of retirement is that he still makes knives,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
weird, but super happy. We don't get to order. We don't get to tell him what to make. He just makes whatever he feels like, and I buy them all. That's basically how it works. That's fun.
There was someone I lost who asked it, but there was a great question that was worded. Oh, where was it? I think it was Fighting Yusek who had asked. I've lost it. Oh, yeah, here it is. I respect that you have to be careful, but do you believe that there's an area of Japan putting out better knives overall?
It's time for me to go pour more coffee in my cup here.
Okay.
That is not a question I want to get into.
Yeah. You know what? There's great people in all kinds of places. There are parts of Japan that are better known for making knives, but I need to shout something across the room. So sing a song or something there for a second.
All right, la 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 la. You can't see me, but I'm in my kitchen getting my little bit of coffee into my coffee mug here. There is knives that are made over Japan that are great. There's some blacksmiths that are great in every city that we deal with, every region. And do I think some are better than others? I don't know. I think in Sakai the fit and finish is second to none. I think in Takafu, I love the aesthetic of their more rugged knives. I think in Sanjo, the knives coming out of Sanjo are a little bit more rugged and cool looking and a bit heftier feeling, because they're probably more used to making axes or tools in that area. I think the knives of Kyushu are probably more traditional. Um, but I love that history. Like, for example, the Moritakas down in Kyushu have been making knives for, what, 720 some years now? So I love that history. So yeah, there's great knives from every area. I'm not, you're not going to get me, you're not going to trick me into answering that question.
And then Meki says, seems like a good time for a dad joke. Get lost, Meki.
That brings us to the next point, though. Do you know much about Switzerland, Chris? I don't either, but their flag's a big plus. Still makes me laugh. Their flag's a big plus, Chris.
And that's where I start telling people to get your last questions in.
Well, fighting Usyk, if you want to know about regional differences in Japanese knives, I think there's touches on it in the book. Maybe I should add that in the second edition of the book.
Yeah,
Maybe
that would
even
be.
talk about regional differences in hammers. I know I touched on that each region has its
Yeah,
own kind of hammer.
yeah. And it's kind of neat too, like, because I remember, like, you notice that, like, when you're in the store, and it's kind of funny, like, if you're helping a person pick out a couple of knives, like, they'll often zone in, like, because the way I would help you pick, so let's say Fighting Usyk came into the shop. I want a 210 Gyuto. Well, I say, do you like Western handle? Do you like Japanese handle? Like I focus on what are you going to use it for? What level of maintenance are you like? I try to zone in on what are you going to use and what are you going to be happy using before I start talking about stories, because I want to find you the right knife. But normally when someone will like they'll get it narrowed down to like 3 or 4 knives. Usually 2 of the knives on the mat are made by the same person or came from the same town. Like it's kind of, I noticed that a lot of the time, like you'll get someone and they're down to like a Yuki 210 and a Koishi 210. And they don't know. I haven't told them, I haven't used the word Masakage yet. I haven't said Kato yet. But they're like, oh, these are my favorites. I'll be like, funny point of fact, made by the same guy, you know? Like they just kind of, people seem to kind of zone in and you figure out what you like and it feels right?
Yeah, because when we're helping somebody choose a knife at the shop, we don't talk about steel composition. We don't talk about, there's a lot of things we don't talk about. We generally pull knives out, ask people questions about how the knife feels and how it looks and what they're kind of looking for, and then let them choose, right? And they're, often the first time they're a bit blind. They're like, they don't know the names of the makers. They don't know anybody. And it's interesting that they do seem to zero in on often knives made by the same person or the same area. We got some more questions here.
There's some good ones here too.
450 millimeter knife in your store. What would that be used for?
That wasn't awesome. That gigantic Nikiri, was it?
Yeah, but we had some made, right? So we had that gigantic Nikiri from Anrizan. Chris, do you know how that stupid Nikiri came along?
Well, I know that I've heard stories. I know Kasumi took yours and uses it to cut her pizzas.
Oh, it disappeared for about 2 years from the shop. I couldn't find it. And I finally asked everybody, and Kasumi goes, oh, I have it at home for pizzas. I'm like, that's my knife. So Anderson, so I was working with Shibata-san and Anderson and Kato-san and Kurosaki, and we were developing the Masakage knives line, right? So I was working for like consulting, I guess, for Shiba on Masakage knives, because he wanted to make knives that were handmade and really cool, but he also wanted to make them really desirable for people outside of Japan. So he wanted to find an ex-chef that had a lot of opinions, and that was me. Hey, I finally was good at something. So we worked hand in hand with the blacksmiths and through Shiba the sharpener and the owner of Masakage knives, and we designed 9 lines of knives. I had nothing to do with Masakage Zero. That was a total surprise from Shiba and a little present, because those are awesome. But when we were going through the whole situation, I kept saying, can you make the Nikiri bigger? And what I meant was taller. So at some point, Anderson sent me like a 210 Nikiri. I was like, no, I mean taller. I want them to be taller than a standard Nikiri, because there's a lot of reasons why I liked it taller. But anyway, he finally got sick of me, and he made this 450 millimeter Nikiri. It's like this long, right? It's like huge. And Shibata-san, when he was taking it out of his case, he's like, oh, Anderson made me a Nikiri for you. He's holding it like this, and he's pulling it out of his bag, right? And you can just see, he's like, Anderson wants you to tell him how long a Nikiri is and what's the right size. He keeps pulling this thing out slowly. He's got this massive knife. And I went, that's a good length, but please make it taller. So that's been in the shop for years, just sitting there. We every now and again.
There's a picture of it in the book. I'm gonna get it.
There's a picture of it in the book?
Yeah, it's like
it's a ridiculous knife. And it's just Anderson having fun, right? Just making fun of me.
I'll find it. I'll find there's some great pictures in this. I like all this stuff in the book. I like all this.
Well, you're in there.
Yeah. That's me right there.
What is it? Is it on your knuckles? What does your knuckles say?
That's my knuckles. They say, who's next? A younger version of me thought that was a good idea. Turns out those things just stick around.
Someone says we should have an extra chapter just dealing with the long history of the Mortaka bladesmithing. I don't want to give them much more room than everybody else, but that's a nice idea. I like that. Maybe we'll make a film about them. I've
What
always wanted to
about
make a
like
film myself.
you know what I thought of
Oh,
when I
Dorian found it. It was a Kurosaki Shizuku Sakamaru Tsujihiki.
Hmm,
So it was that really short. It was either a really long slicer or a really short tuna knife.
yeah,
That's right.
I
We can always
remember
get more of
those.
those. We can always get more of those too.
They just take a little while. You gotta put the note in the bottle for that one.
Van Isle is saying he's ready, or he or she is ready. They are ready to purchase a Moritaka 240 Gyuto. Knee jerk answer: AS or Ishime? Ishime. I like the look of
Yeah.
it better. I like the feel of it better. They're less likely to bend. The edge is more rugged. And that's all to do with the texture put on by the extra forging. Uh, extra forging. If you can get an AS Ishime, that'd be great. There's that huge Nikiri. Isn't that ridiculously huge?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go with the Ishime too, because then we can be buds. We can be knife buds.
Oh, you got that, don't you?
I got a lot of knives. Man.
Yeah, you do, but so do I, but we got different knives.
We do. We have some that are the same, but some that are different.
We do. That happens, right?
Yeah.
Those 450 millimeter, are they for defending your tuna from poachers at the market? Absolutely. A gun works too. No, I didn't say
Yeah.
that. I'm not that
Ooh.
guy.
Well, you know
Not a
what?
gun guy.
So here's something
Well, that's not
different.
true. If
Chris
you're a deer or a grouse, you might think I am a gun guy. As a human, you're pretty
Walker
safe.
says, I know that you're a guitar guy. And Chris says knives are like guitars. You can have two of the same, but only one will be the one. And it's
That's a
funny
true
how like
fact, you know.
it is, like, especially when you're helping someone pick out a knife. Because if you were to come into the shop, let's say on a regular day, okay, and we pick out we figure out that you do want that 240 Moritaka Gyuto. Well, if there's more than one of them in the store, we'll take them out for you, and you can pick yours out from everything there. And you
Like the
would
Harry
be
Potter
surprised,
moment.
like the Harry Potter moment, when he's picking out the wand and the one wand speaks to him. It sounds lame, but it's very, very true, because you'll
Oh, it's
pick one
totally
up,
true.
and odds are I'll be able to guess which one you're going to like more, because that's a fun game that I've been playing for the last few years. I generally know which one you're going to like before you do, and then you'll notice a difference, and it's never a huge difference. And I always kind of throw out the little caveat, like, hey, like, don't let this stress you out. Like, if you want me to pick out the best one, I'll pick out the best one, but I think you should have a crack at picking out yours.
Yeah, because at that point, we've already made the hard decision. We've tested the knives. We've worked with the people that make the knives. We know what we've got, and they're all great knives, right? We just didn't buy any of the crappy ones. We've already done the hard work for you. But when you've chosen the right knife and you get three in front of you to pick up and feel and look at, one of them will speak to you more than the others. It's true. It is a true fact. It is a true fact. And back to the guitars, I believe Chris Walker and I have the same acoustic guitar. So I think we both have a Seagull, the one everybody has with the cedar top. It's got a really warm sound, and I think him and I have the matching guitars, and at least I think he does. But I'll tell you what, if I picked him up and played both of them, I would know which one's mine.
Is that your little parlor guitar?
No, it's the bigger one. We had a bigger Seagull made in Canada. The parlor guitar is a Taylor. It sounds plinky, but it's fun to travel with.
Yeah.
Apparently records well, because that's a thing I'm going to be doing in my life. Yeah, it's not true.
Chris says he had 3 Moritaka petties to choose from and went home with the one that bit him. Well, that's very kind of you, Chris. I appreciate that you picked the one that bit you. Oh, look at that.
We got some new stickers.
Oh,
And it says, you see this, Larry? This is what happens when you touch a stranger's kitchen knife.
I thought Walter said, you see what happens, Larry, when you find a stranger in the Alps.
Well, that's the other. This is an outtake. Like this one. What does this one say, Chris? It says a quality kitchen knife has a full tang and 3 rivet handle. And the dude says, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
That's what he would
I
say.
like these new stickers. Well, he
That's what he
would,
would
because that
say.
is just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris has got an Art and Lou 3 guitar, same company, but a different
Oh,
one.
okay.
So maybe Mike's got an Art and Lou 3 guitar as well.
I don't
Mike's
have
actually
any
got
guitars.
Mike's got my electric Gibson at his place right now. I got a Les Paul Studio from a friend years ago, and Mr. Mike has been playing the snot out of that at his place.
I don't have any guitars.
You have an upright bass. That's a guitar.
I do, but I don't think I've played it once in the last 8 months. My dog likes to hide behind it and bark at me.
Chris, have you seen those stickers before?
I did, yeah. Some of them showed up at my house in the mail.
There's going to be some showing up at your store pretty soon too.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I look forward to popping those into some boxes that I pack.
Chris the Voog says, I need a full set. My favorite film. I too like the Care Bear Kissing Party, because that's the show that these are from, right? Yeah. Care Bear Kissing Party and Picnic.
That's right. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. I got a Care Bear Kissing Party and Picnic calendar for Christmas. I put it up beside the staff schedule.
Fantastic.
Well, should we start our sign off? What should we do? We've been doing this for 2 hours and there's still people watching.
Have we really? Wow.
Yeah.
I like this. This is fun. Well, you know what? I like it because I get to spend some time with you on a Tuesday, which is nice.
Yeah.
I got dinner a little bit sorted with some smoked salmon. That was nice. I get to drink coffee out of my favorite political mug, and I had a fire today. Life is good.
That's a pretty good afternoon.
It is.
Yeah. Alex did the majority of the real work that happened here today. So.
Did you do the standing around and pointing?
Well, yeah, that's, I managed. That's what we call it. I lost my clipboard though. When you do this. Oh, he's coming.
Yes, clipboard.
Yeah. He's armed as well. He's armed with telephones.
Did you sit in your office for a bit too and throw pencils up into the air to stick in the suspended ceiling? Did you do that for a while?
No, there's no suspended ceiling down there.
Did you smoke cigarettes and say, work more, be better?
I did, yeah. I took up smoking just to do that.
Nice.
Advent. Oh, listen to this. Advent says, this has been fantastic, guys. I hope you do this again. We do this quite a bit, actually.
We do it every Tuesday.
Yeah, every Tuesday it has been a thing, at least since, June. We kept going straight through, and then I took a couple of weeks off in December because it turns out when you work in retail, it gets busy that time of year. So, but we're back at it. And Advent, we're going to be doing some sharpening at the same time on Thursday. So 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. here in Ottawa. We're going to do a little bit of sharpening. So come with some sharpening questions. Don't ask really hard questions because I might not have answers for you. And then we're going to do some knife skills on Saturday. You can ask me hard questions about that. I know more about cooking than I do most other things. So, and I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do. It depends on depends on who's around, but will depend on what I make to eat. Probably coleslaw. I haven't chopped a bunch of that in a while, but we'll put some kind of salad or something together. Just we're going to focus on kind of safe knife handling, and kind of like the Coles Notes version of one of our Cut Like a Chef class. So, and that'll be at the same time. So 4 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock for you. And then we're on the docket to do have a conversation on Tuesday and Thursday again next week. I might be able to do Saturday again. I'm trying to figure it out because as we, we're kind of in this lockdown. Rakesh just joined. Rakesh, I smoked trout on it today. That's fun, eh?
Rakesh gave us these grills that we messed about with today. I smoked a
Yeah.
big chunk of salmon, Rakesh. It's delicious, man.
Yeah.
I used
There's
mesquite, so a
it's a
wood I know nothing
really
about.
it's a really easy to use unit. I was really
Yeah, I think it's like idiot
I
proof.
didn't I
Because
didn't
I'm
think
an
it was
idiot, and
I
I
didn't think it was
made it
going to
work.
be particularly hard, but I really enjoyed it. It was it's at first I guess you would have missed this part. In the beginning, I was concerned that it would be too small to be useful to me, because I have a very big offset smoker, and I usually do really big chunks of meat. But this is going to be perfect to have around the store. Alex and I made sausages for lunch today. We're probably just gonna, make a habit of cooking at the store. So thank
Hmm.
you.
What's a bag of pellets cost? Do you know, Chris? Because you
Um,
can get a lot of life out of those, it seems.
yeah, I think that bag is it's no more than $20. Rakesh probably
Really?
knows for
Oh, you can
real.
get a ton. You can get a ton of
Oh
life out of that.
yeah.
Listen, Don Penny says he loves the strawberry pink-handled bunka he got for his girlfriend's Christmas, and I'm very, very upset with Don Penny because I think that was the knife I wanted because I loved that pink handle. So Don Penny, not only is he the famed Don Penny who makes way better brisket than both you and I,
Yeah.
also was attacked by a shark and bit the shark, and the shark now shows off the Don Penny bite he has. But not only that, he also stole my pink knife.
Mm,
What a bad man. And a $22 bag of pellets lasts about 35 hours,
that's
says
great.
Rakesh. So there you go.
That's great. So, but yeah, we do these videos. We really enjoy doing them. So it's a great opportunity for people to touch base with us, ask some questions, kind of get a little bit of the news as to what's going on around the stores, kind of new gear that we're playing with, or new things that we're excited about. We try to get to everybody's questions. I don't think we missed any today. We were a little bit slow on a couple, but it's the goal to get to everyone. So,
Chris, here's the funny point. Usually we do the show at 4. So it looks like Trevor has just joined in and he doesn't know that this is just the end. Like, you know how the
poor
beginning's
Trevor.
not very professional and the end is
Yeah,
way less professional? He's
yeah,
found like the dirty end of the thing. Sorry,
yeah.
Trev. We did it early because
Trevor,
Chris is a bit of a princess.
I'm a bit of a
And he's
princess.
decided he's decided he only wants to do these during work hours instead of in his hobby time.
Well,
Which
come
is
on
fair,
now.
which is fair. It's fair. It's fair.
The
Very good.
big news for me right now is that my kids so in the whole pandemic thing, my kids went back to school in September. Now they've extended the Christmas break. At first they said they were extending it, but my kids have 1 week of it at virtual learning right now, provided everything goes to plan. They'll
They're
be
going to
back to school
virtually
next week.
learn something.
Yeah, so my poor girlfriend has been at home with 3 kids sitting at our dining room table on computers that my parents lovingly bought them for Christmas. Thank God. But they're all on their own computer and they all have headphones on, and only one of them has any idea of how loud you need to speak when you've got a microphone on. So they're just all screaming at the
Great.
computer. It's too much. So
Fun.
if I'm
That's
here
fun.
if I'm here till 8, I won't have a home to go to, is more
You'll have a
what I'm
home.
getting at.
It'll be in the backyard beside the smoker.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's always, I don't know. Why don't the Ottawa shop, just to kind of give everyone a highlight of what's going on, we're currently in the Ontario provincial wide lockdown, which means we can only help you via curbside, which means if you place an order online, you can arrange to have it picked up in the store. You can drop off your knives at the door. We'll sharpen them, hand them back over. There's only a couple of us working in the store right now. So we're closed on Sundays until further notice. But we are here from 10 to 6 every other day of the week. So once we get once things kind of get a little more back to normal, things will go back to normal. But for the time being, if you need a hand, first step is either call the shop or shoot a message over to hello@knifewear.com, and we'll get you started that way. If we can narrow it down to 1 or 2 knives that you're hemming and hawing between, and you really got to hold it before you buy it, let's get it narrowed down. And then if I have them here, by all means, come by. We'll set you up at the front door. You can pick up a couple, and we're playing by the rules, and everyone's safe. And that's what's important to us.
Yeah.
Right. So the Calgary store is still running with a little bit of a skeleton crew. So be a little bit patient over there. They've only got
that's our warehouse. It's our warehouse crew running the store.
Yeah.
Now they've all worked in the store before, but it's been a few years, right?
Yeah.
And there's only 3 of them, so it's understaffed, and it's not their usual job anymore. So be a little bit patient, please.
Yeah. But that being said,
Friday we're back to full strength Friday.
Okay.
At Calgary store. Yeah. I think Friday, is that the 8th?
The 8th, yeah. Saturday's the 9th, yeah.
Okay, so Friday we're back to full strength. Oh my God, that means I can leave my house on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what the weather's like. I'm going for a big bike ride.
There we go. So, but if you guys ever need a hand with anything in between, you can always shoot a message, hello@knifewear.com. If you want to talk to me directly, Chris@knifewear.com, CHRIS@knifewear.com. I will need some ideas for things to chop up on Saturday. So if there's a vegetable,
fennel.
I
love fennel.
If there's something that gives you a hard time and you would like I know a couple of folks there had said that they wanted to tune in. If there is something that gives you a hard time and I can grab it, I happily will. Kind of show you a couple tips and tricks. That's more my speed. Sharpening is usually Naoto's game. So I'm going to show you the sharpening for dummies on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday we're doing sharpening for dummies. I like that idea.
Yeah, and then on Saturday it'll be more my wheelhouse, which is time in the kitchen. So, but if no one has anything for us in the last little bit, I think that's a goodbye and thanks. Oh, Voog says ratatouille. I could do ratatouille. Ratatouille's
I learned that from a Pixar. I learned that from a Pixar film, how to make it. You take a rat.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Stick it in your hat. Make them pull your hair so you can cook.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to pretend.
I think Don Penny just sent us a rude message. He said, I love watching meat trimming. I don't know what that means. Sounds dirty.
Maybe next week, Don Penny. Let's see what's on sale, bud.
Maybe we can do a butchery thing. You know what? I've got some weird stuff we can do some cooking. I've got a venison heart in my freezer.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got some bones, like for bone marrow.
Okay.
Well, we could have like fun weird cooking hour.
Yeah. Yeah, we could just do find the weirdest thing. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe we'll do that next Thursday because I hadn't figured out that far ahead.
Next Thursday can be a fun weird cooking thing. I'll do heart. I'll do venison heart.
Well, here, I know this is something that you wanted to do before. You wanted to do some kind of Top Gear type challenge. So
have you ever seen that show? It's quite a good show.
I watched a little bit of it because you had recommended it. But why don't we just do that next Thursday? We'll work on the weirdest thing we can find.
Oh, I already told you what mine is.
I know. So now I'm going to win.
Yeah. Pig nostril.
I was thinking an animal's head. So.
Chinatown, man. How come regular grocery stores don't sell all those good bits and you have to go to Chinatown to get all the good bits?
You know what? There's actually some really great Middle Eastern grocery stores and halal butchers in Ottawa where you can get lamb's heads and things like that.
Yeah. Tongues and hearts. Oh, I got a tongue too. Oh, I'm going to do it. Say that's it, Chris. I'm doing tongue and heart on Thursday.
Okay. And I'll find something. Yeah, and we can just kind of putter around. I'll have to obviously limit it to what I can do here in the store. But yeah, we could just putter.
Skip it. I got something that beats you. I've got something I started making in July.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And it's weird.
Nice.
Oh, I'm totally doing that. I have started a food that we're going to eat Well, I'm going to eat next Thursday. And I started it in
Nice.
July.
Okay. Well, that'll be cool. Now I gotta find something weird. Now I gotta contest with your strange thing.
Trevor wants to know when Sharpening for Dummies on Saturday is. Well, one, it's on Thursday, so Saturday's late,
Yeah.
Trevor, just like today. You were late today, Trevor, and we've put that on your scorecard.
Oh,
So, one, we know that you were late today by 2 hours. We put that on your attendance card. And two, if you show up on Saturday for the sharpening, Trevor, you're going to be like 3 days late, and
Yep.
that will go on your permanent record.
not his permanent record.
This will go down on your permanent record.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
like the Violent Femmes.
Well, don't get so. Anyway, Trevor, it's Thursday
Thursday.
at
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern.
4
p.m. Eastern, 2
Yeah.
p.m. Mountain Time, Trevor. Don't be late. Sharpening for Dummies Thursday. Don't be late.
Don't worry. I'll be at it for a while, Trevor, because I'm the dummy. It should be called Sharpening with a dummy.
Fred Bashara Jr. is asking who will be Clarkson on the show. And unfortunately, I think, sadly, I might be Clarkson. Maybe you will. I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't figured out who's who. There's a little guy.
I don't know.
And then
There's
there's
a
two
little
tall
guy.
guys with long hair. So I don't know who they are.
There's a little guy. There's the tedious guy.
Mm.
And then there's the loudmouth.
Mm. Is he the one who sometimes says things that people don't like?
Oh, yeah. He says lots of shit that people don't like.
That's the Clarkson guy?
Yeah.
Because James May is the other guy, right?
James May is the guy that goes real slow at stuff.
Okay.
He's tedious. He's a pilot, you know. You know how pilots are.
Oh, okay. That's like me.
Checklist.
I'm pretty slow.
Tediousness. No, but you're not tedious.
Oh, okay. No.
Oh, this is
All right.
descended. This always
This is-
descends
yeah.
into
This-
stupidity.
Yeah, at least we know to cut ourselves off. So,
Maybe. Oh, check it out.
okay,
This
we're going to
dude's
look at this thing that
bike.
Kevin has, and then that's a high-up bicycle. Or is he standing?
I don't know. It's like he goes by. Sometimes he has a buddy. He's got a buddy with a 2-stroke bicycle. But
Mm.
that's the electric one. So he's got this electric one that's super high. He sits super high and he rides it all year. It's really cool. Darren Flowers says, "Are you starting a car show?" Yes, about kitchen knives.
Oh, Darren. Careful. Darren will turn on us quick.
A car show about kitchen knives. I know the name Darren Flowers. How do I know Darren?
Darren's my very my very old friend from college, and he took over at Onion when I left. You've met Darren many times.
I've been there many times.
He's pretty quick-witted though. He's gonna make fun of us if we don't get off here.
Okay, we got to get going then, because I don't
We gotta
want to
get going so Darren doesn't make fun of us.
So mean.
Well,
why is he like that?
I don't know. It's because he's been my friend for so long. I think I did it to him.
What a mean guy. And he's like, I think he came late like Trevor too, so I don't even know the point of this.
Yeah,
Trevor, this is
he just sees two people talking. He doesn't understand that we once had a point to any of this.
We had no point. We had no point.
Well, we had a bit of a plan today. I wrote stuff down, so it's fine.
I opened
right,
the box.
but
I got a new hat.
That's true. You got a new hat, courtesy of Razor Sharp
Maui
Hawaii.
Sharpening. Razor Sharp Hawaii. Yeah.
Cool.
Or Maui Sharpening, as I wanted to call it.
You just name his business whatever you want, I guess.
All right. Every Thursday.
Well,
great to learn, Grant. We'll see you every Thursday. Tuesday, every Tuesday.
Tuesdays, and then we'll just keep an eye for all the other stuff because I'm looking for things to do, and I'm locked in the store with Alex, and he runs out of stuff to talk about by 2:00. So I need
he goes that long?
I need new friends. Oh yeah. It's me doing most of the talking. He just starts to ignore me at 2.
He runs out of listening.
That was a good one. All right, have a good one, everyone.